Bills Mafia is back. Are you ready for it? The third annual Buffalo Rumblings IPA beer release party is going down September 16th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Resurgence Brewing Company located downtown at 55 Chicago Street. I'm going to tell you what, you do not want to miss this event. Come out and hang with Joe, Sarah, and the rest of the Buffalo Rumblings crew for the Megapod. You're going to want to bring your questions and be a part of the live stream. Get involved. It's going to be live. And this year, we're also going to have our friends from Fans of Buffalo joining the party and sponsoring the fun. They're going to be in the house to provide you with all the information you need to make your away game day experience the easiest and the most smooth that you've ever had in your life. I can promise you, they do their job very well. So make sure you make it out Saturday, September 16th, 6 p.m., Resurgence Brewing Company, 55 Chicago Street. Go Bills.
Kick off the show here.
We're agreeing.
Himself cleaned up.
All righty, Bills Mafia. Welcome to the Mafia Cast, part of the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network. We've got a show lined up today. We've got a ton to get to. I'm your host, Papa Ron, with my boys here, Casey and Mike. What is going on, guys?
What's up?
How's it going, gentlemen? Happy to be here another week.
Awesome. We've got a special guest here. Jay Spence, the King, is on board with us tonight. We're going to talk a little 53-man roster, some other things going on. How's it going, Spence?
Hey, man. Sorry I was off there. I was eating. Didn't want y'all to see me stuff in my face, but I'm good, man. How y'all doing?
Good. We may have a surprise fifth person joining us. She was here a second ago, and then she bounced. I think maybe she got scared.
She don't want no smoke.
Here we go.
Nope. She saw what happened to Casey. She don't want that to happen to her. I'm going to just throw that out there.
What's she going to get, yellow hair?
It hasn't happened yet
Hey.
with Casey.
We are 30
result.
seconds in, and the shots have been fired already. I love it. This is awesome. So we've got, like I said, we've got a lot going on today. We have Bill's final preseason game this weekend, Saturday, 2-week break, and then it is time for some football. And we even have college football this weekend, guys. You guys are any of y'all like into college football? I know, Sarah, you're big into college football.
Yes, I am.
Hold on,
Yeah.
she's coming.
Yeah,
That's the
Can you
only
hear
thing
me?
that's the only thing that hurts that she will beat me on, like with these takes and stuff. She about to catch this beat down. Casey gonna catch this beat down. Really, if Mike wanted, Mike can catch this beat. Mike, you're my guy. But if you want it, you could catch it this time. Okay, I'm out here passing out L's to everybody. It's happening. I'm out here like Baker Mayfield.
I need my popcorn.
You know what I'm saying?
Where's my popcorn?
I'm out like,
Right?
I'm just
What did
saying,
I step
We'll see how
into?
it goes. We'll see how it goes.
Well, that's what it is today. I'm all I'm doing for people today. All I'm doing for Buffalo Rumblings is passing out L's. I'm Baker Mayfield. That's it. I'm passing them out all day.
Baker Mayfield.
That's
Oh,
all
man.
I'm doing.
I don't know. I don't think anybody can pass out better L's than him.
No.
We haven't seen Tua yet this year.
That's true.
I
That's
think
true.
Tua's gonna be good, man. I think we got to relax on him. I think Tua's better than we give him credit for.
I think he is too. I just like messing with Dolphins fans.
Yeah,
They're
they're
too-
sensitive.
They're very. I was going to say they're sensitive, just like we are.
So we're already getting some comments in here. Spin wants some of this. Wrong
Uh-oh.
take, crucify you, so cut the wrong player and you're all done. I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to get, trashed a few times on my 53-man, but that's okay. Roy wants to know if anybody's going to cut Dotson. I'm thinking probably not, and he also thinks that's the right take on that. So I don't know what this is. Casey did our banners here, so I'm just going to put this up here.
Well,
This
we
was-
had Jay Spence the King here, and we call Sarah the Queen of Salary Cap. So, I mean, I figure we have to have the King and Queen. We're all for equality here on the podcast.
Okay, so what's the Papa Ron food quiz? What is this?
So before the show, we were talking. Sarah and Spence, you guys have lived in New York before. Ronnie doesn't know what salt potatoes are. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
I literally went like the whole time I was there. I was like, I can't leave without having salt potatoes. Like I can't be home and not have salt potatoes. So the night before I left to take my son back to college, we literally did a big huge cookout with salt potatoes, sausage, the whole work, some hot dogs, some white hots. If you need
Yep.
to learn about white hots,
A
please.
nice
That's the only hot
homey-
dog my son will eat. He won't touch a hot dog, but he'll eat the white hots. But how could you not have? You live in the potato state.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
I know, it's so
we
fun.
just cook some potatoes. We add the salt if we want. To call them specifically just salt potatoes, never.
No, I mean
never
it
heard of
comes
that.
with like a bag of salt in it, like this.
That's
like,
what Casey was saying.
You lose an artery, but you're very
and then you got a whole stick of
Give mouth
butter.
milk.
Just melt the whole
My
stick of butter.
cholesterol is
The bills
yelling
get your
like
blood
it's
pressure
just-
up, and it flushes it back out.
It's so good. So
Sounds
it just made me.
unhealthy.
But how much do you love it?
It's the best.
But how
It is
much?
the best.
Just like that donut thing I saw you put up on Twitter a couple of days ago.
The donut hamburger,
Yeah,
cheeseburger, whatever it was.
yeah, whatever that was, the honey bun burger.
Now, those are things that we have to try. You can't knock things until you try them. I'm just saying this coming in a bag of salt just sounds like something my doctor would immediately tell me you should probably think twice. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, they do, but I mean, you only half listen to doctors. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, my doctor would say the same thing about the sandwich. So
True.
Yeah, I
I
gave
just-
up salt
okay.
potatoes,
He
and
did.
then I
He
died
did.
anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You only live once.
For people who don't know, I grew up in New Mexico, actually, furthest from Idaho, from New York. Nothing to do with any of those places. So it's talk Mexican food all day long, and I got you there. But salt potatoes, that's a new one for me.
Dude's
Roy
never had
loves them,
chicken
obviously.
Ricky's. Oh man.
Yeah, I guess maybe I have to try a few things when I come up there in a few weeks, right?
For sure.
Yeah, I'm getting
Give him a tour to New York.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, we'll just
All
get him a garbage plate. He'll be set. He'll have one of everything on it. So.
I won't eat one of those. And I grew up right outside of Rochester. I can't
No
stand it. I think
kidding.
it's disgusting. Blech.
Oh my. Oh, they're so good.
Blech.
Well, me and Mike
Too
are also
much.
fat guys, so
Yeah,
Too much.
I got a little bit of an eating problem.
I just hope I can come back to Idaho after visiting Buffalo and not have a heart attack before I get home.
nah. You're staying, Papa.
All right.
So that was the quiz, not really a quiz, but we're educating Ronnie on salt potatoes, everyone. So
Yeah, it's more like a food education.
anyone
Yes.
can join in and bash him for not knowing.
All right, let's get into some football, some Bills football, and kind of talk about that first. Let's, I don't know why that's not even in here, but let's back up really quick to last weekend. I know it's kind of been beaten and talked about a lot, but first of all, let's start with Spence. What was your takes from that game? Did you come away with concerns or more of a it's preseason, we'll move on?
I miss Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah,
that's my takeaway. I miss Tremaine Edmonds. We could talk about offense not looking good. I think everything that I heard from Steve Tasker yesterday makes sense. I think it's true. I think the Bills offensively, they're ready. And I think they just went into this game unprepared because they're looking forward to week 1. And I think they just looked ahead of the preseason, and I think they could care less. But on defense, I don't care how you try to spin that, whether they're ready or not. Dude, we need it. I miss Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah. What about you, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same. I'm not going to say I miss one specific player as of right now. It's because I thought the whole game was just trash. I couldn't watch the game on Saturday. I had to catch it as a replay. Even the people that were online saying, at least Josh had a good game. At least, Gabe had yes, Josh and Gabe had the one, connection that ended up getting called back. But I don't think anyone really had a great game at all on Saturday. So there wasn't too many positives until the second half. But that's you're going against third and fourth and stringers and undrafted people that are not going to be on a team in another week. So I didn't find too many positives at all between the penalties and the way we played. I'm just glad that game's over with, and I hope we can see something a little bit better this weekend.
Yes. Spence says Torrance had a great game in Kincaid. I know, I think the Cover One guys put up something the other day where PFF rated his performance like a 50 something.
Yeah, it was it was rated bad. I
Yeah.
went through a lot of the all 22 and like I was watching a lot on Torrance. He had a decent game, but there were some times that he didn't look great. But he did save Spencer Brown once or twice, just to let you know. So that's a positive if we want to say a positive.
I'm really
What
shocked
about
that Sarah. I'm sorry. I'm just shocked that your assessment after looking at that, even that with Josh, is what it is. Because to me, Josh, uh, obviously he wasn't perfect. I was upset that he ran around in the
He didn't have
backfield like a
time.
well, no,
That's not on Josh
but
though.
it's no,
I
it's
get it.
preseason. No, it is on Josh. It's preseason. Don't run around the field
Oh
three
God,
times
I
in a
was
circle.
yelling
No,
at
yeah,
him like,
get
"What are
that,
you
like
doing?"
get down.
Yeah.
But to your point, he didn't have time. I agree with you there. But other than that play, I saw nothing wrong with what Josh did. Like when he did have time, it was a completion. When he didn't have time, he created some extra time to at least not catch a sack. And so I'm very upset and disappointed that he's going to play this weekend. I'm very disappointed that he's playing this weekend.
I kind of figured he was going to anyways, though, because of the injuries and everything with Matt Barkley. So they kind of felt like he
Yeah.
probably had to play a little bit, which is I actually think is a good thing. I not that he's playing, but that Kyle has to play most of the game. It's going to give him at least a little bit of reps with several of the guys, and we can see what he's capable of if ever needing to be out there for a whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But yeah, I should.
I don't.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say about Josh. I probably shouldn't put it on Josh, but I mean, there wasn't too much out there that was positive, and he was just frustrated as all hell. So, and you could see it. So,
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say that he didn't have a good game. He just looked as frustrated as we probably all felt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think a lot of that probably had to do with the penalties, like 3 in a row, back to back to
Oh
back
my
at that
God.
one point.
Yeah, you finally make a play and then it's coming back
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
time.
every time.
Yeah. Well, so since we already kind of talked about the starters playing on Saturday, we'll go ahead and kind of move into that because I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on last week's game because it is preseason and it's already been talked about. But for this weekend, I guess I don't really have a problem with the starters playing, but I wouldn't have cared if they didn't either. There's a lot of teams, including the Chiefs. Mahomes has played every single game so far, and quite a bit actually. Um, there was the Broncos. I've seen Wilson and their starters get out there quite a bit. So it's not out of the norm, but at the same time, like last year, Josh Allen didn't really play much in the preseason, and they came out just fine. So I don't think there's really a lot of benefit either way. But Spence, you kind of already made it, your opinion known on this. But Casey, what do you think about those guys playing out there, and should they not? How long? What do you think?
I mean, last year Josh played what was it, the first half of the second game, I think, and tore it up. I mean, he was a man on fire, and then it was like, yeah, oh my God, they're fine. There's no reason to play him in the third game. They're clearly clicking on all cylinders. Then last week happens, and it looks like the Bills were back to the drought Bills. That's what that's me, Mike, and Ronnie. That's what we all said to each other, and it was just one of those, the sky was falling things, like just where everything was going wrong, like that. No matter what, and it's kind of the way Mike and I felt for the Bengals game. But I'm fine with it. Just let him get a couple of reps. Just manage it. Let him get 10 plays, just like the defense did that first preseason game, and then pull him out of there. Just let him get a little taste, have a little bit of success, and have a better taste going into their mouth going into week 1.
Yeah. They could obviously use the work. There was I do want to talk about this individual, Vandemark. I've heard quite a bit about him as of late. What do you guys think? And Sarah, I'll start with you. What do you think about Vandemark? How much have you seen of him? Do you think he might potentially be a tackle starter down the road?
So I actually had seen quite a few people start to put him as the backup to Dawkins, even over Tommy Doyle. So when Tommy Doyle, over the first two preseason games, he was coming in before Tommy was. So I noticed that and kind of put two and two together with what I had been hearing. So when Tommy went down, a lot of people, you know, said, well, he was kind of at risk of whether or not he would even have made the team because so many people have, Vandermark up there above him. So, um, you know, there's a lot more people that are qualified of looking at his technique and everything else. A lot more, of those people have been saying that he has shown, huge strides over the last year and a half. So I like it. If I don't know if he can be a starter on this on this offense, whether or not he can play the right side, let's find out maybe. But I think Dawkins is kind of here to stay for a while. So
Can I ask everybody a
Yeah,
question?
go ahead.
1 to 10, how worried is everybody about the right tackle situation? Or the tackle situation as a whole?
Which kind of leads us into our next topic, but
I'll go first. I'll say it. I would say coming into the season, I was kind of like at a 4 or 5. Like I wasn't all that worried. 2 preseason games. And we're losing, some backups. Obviously Shell, isn't too much of a concern that we lost. And then Tommy, they're saying was going to be our, third string, so maybe I shouldn't worry as much as I am, but I will say it's went up. Watching Josh and Kyle and Matt run for their lives almost on every single snap is not, doesn't feel good. And I also was hoping that this line was going to make, it easier for Cook to get extra yards. And not saying that the running game hasn't looked fine, because it definitely has. But I am more concerned now. I'd probably say a 7. So I went up from like a 5 to a 7.
Kate or Mike?
It's hard to put a number on it. I mean, just kind of worried, kind of not worried. Not the biggest worry. The penalties is really what killed it for me, the game. I know, like Spence talked about, it's preseason. They're looking forward to week 1, but it's like you still got that competitiveness and you still want to win a game. You got to go out there and show what you got. As far as Vandemark, yeah, he's got to get his reps. With Doyle's out now, he's next guy up or whatever. Like Sarah said, some people putting him ahead of him. He's got to get his reps in. The starters playing, we got to see him. We got to see him do what they do. For me, that would build huge confidence in me. I think we got to get the ball rolling here. We got to show that we could play before week 1. And just get it done.
Papa Ron?
Yeah, Spence, what do you think?
You want me to read the comment or just answer the question? I'm sorry.
No, just a question.
So for me, I'm at like 8.5. Like I'm up there. I feel like, it's some might feel like it's an overreaction to be concerned about the right tackle, like Spence says here in the comment, and then some are extremely concerned, like me. And the reason why I'm extremely concerned is because we already went through a season of Josh Allen running for his life basically every game. He had to be Superman every game. If he wasn't Superman, then the Bills didn't win. Now, granted, we barely lost, but at some point you want to be able to protect Josh Allen. You want to be able to, like Sarah talked about, you want to be able to let James Cook actually get free. Whatever running back is in the game, you want to let them get free. I do like some of the concepts that I saw with Dawson Kincaid and Dawson Knox, what they're doing with both guys on the field at the same time. I love, actually. I know there's a lot of talk about how Dawson Kincaid is not like a great blocker and they're going to expect to see some improvement in that area from him. But from what I've seen so far, he is nothing that's like jumped off the screen, but it's been enough to be effective. And to me, as long as you can be effective, if you can put a body on guys, just to spring a James Cook, just give him an inch, because you give a guy like James Cook an inch and he's going to get first down. It happens. So I'm actually very encouraged about a lot of things, but when it comes to that offensive line, that right tackle position for me, man, I'm actually very concerned. Sarah talked about you got a rookie bailing out your right tackle. That's just not. It shouldn't happen. I get it. We drafted him where we did. Some people feel like he was the best guard in the draft. We got a hell of a value, from where we drafted him, because some thought he should have been gone in the first round. And whatever however you want to talk about how good he is whatever. He should not be bailing out his right tackle in his first or second action as a rookie in the NFL in preseason football. He should not be, like, if he was the one making mistakes, I could understand saying, Spencer had him. I could see you saying, well, Mitch had him. He's a rookie. You're going to expect some growing pain. He shouldn't be bailing out a guy that's been in the league now for a couple of years. That's just me. And maybe I'm starting to get fed up with certain things, but I feel like the mediocrity that we put on the field when it comes to the offensive line it's embarrassing to me. When you have a guy like Josh Allen, this elite at this stage of his career in his prime, you got to protect him. And then you see last year what happens in the pocket, not when he's scrambling, not when he's running over guys and hurdling people, but in the pocket, you see his elbow get messed up because he wasn't protected. He didn't have enough time against the Jets. I need to see them protect my quarterback. You just spent a $250,000 on this guy, or $1 billion on this guy. Protect him. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah. Which leads us into kind of one of the things we want to talk about. Casey and I and Mike and I were talking about this earlier in the week. Is it time for the Bills to consider? Obviously, we can't do that this year, but next year, blow up the offensive line, including Dawkins, including Morris, and just start from scratch. We've seen the Chiefs do that. We saw the Bengals do that. And at this point, for me, when I hear talk about Deion Dawkins, I'm like, yeah, he's a good left tackle. But there still always seems to be every single year the question, yeah, he's a good left tackle, but there's always a but with him. And he's never just a solid tackle that you don't have to worry about. He still gets beat. He's not elite, in my opinion. And he's getting paid like it. There's a lot of, and Morris even, I just feel like for what they're paying in this offensive line, they're not getting the job done. And I think, and you guys can agree or disagree, it needs to blow up the line. Outside of Torrance, obviously keep him around, but I think the rest of the other 4 spots need to be put on notice for next season.
Yeah, what really killed me for Brown was like the penalties in this past game. Didn't he have like a couple on the same drive?
We had two right in a row.
Yeah,
it was just two. It was two holding in a false start.
Yeah, and I'm like, geez, can we get it together, man?
Well, and I know there's been a lot of talk for Jason Peters. What is he like? I don't know, 63 years old 42. Or something like that. Yeah,
in football years,
41 years old.
Yeah, I mean, bring him in, I guess, and let's see what if he still has it or even remotely. I'm not 100% like out on Spencer yet, just because throughout training camp, the OTAs, preseason games up to this point, he hasn't been terrible. But again, I got kind of go back to he hasn't been terrible, but there's still some issues, and it seems that way across the board. Would you guys blow up this line next year and just start from scratch?
Well, I'll go next.
Casey,
I was going to say, I don't know if I would necessarily blow up the whole line. I think Mitch Morris is getting up there. He's 30, and has had the concussion. So, but he's like the most.
I thought he was like 28. Go ahead. I'll look it up.
Where
you're going. I thought he was.
I think he's older than 30.
No, I think he's 29,
I thought
turning
he was young.
30.
No, you know what? He's 31. He's
Okay.
31.
Yeah.
And
So-
I was confused because I thought he was. Remember, Sarah? We thought he was.
I was
Like,
when
we
I
thought he was
found out
older
how
than
old
he
he
really
was, I was
was.
like, I
Yeah.
thought he was a lot older. Because just even his demeanor and the way he speaks, but looking at him with his concussions and everything, I think that we could have gotten out of the contract this year too for pretty much minimal dead cap for Morris. I don't know necessarily that we move on from him, but we definitely need to start focusing on who's going to be the next Mitch Morris, which a lot of people think is going to be Bates. They think that he's
Yeah.
going to step in and be the starting, center moving forward. McGovern is hurt right now, so we're going to quickly figure out whether or not Edwards can be a starter and in the on the line. So there's going to be little things. I think that we obviously need to look at right tackle first and foremost, and then start moving on. If we let Dion go next year, I believe we split his what's remaining. So it's like 7.5 and 7.5. So dead cap is 7.5, and then we would save 7.5. So someone is asking. So
Yeah.
pretty much, if
Yeah.
if they're not happy with him, do they move on? Possibly, but it's still a lot of money, to walk away from.
Yeah, according to Spot Track, 2024 dead cap is 5 million. 25 cap would be 2.8. The 2024 cap savings would be 10.3. So you're talking what, roughly 3 million that they would save. Mitch Morse was significantly more. There is zero cap space, or I'm sorry, 3 million cap space in 2024, and the team would save 8.5 million. So I don't know. That seems like a lot of money to me that maybe they could spend elsewhere. I haven't really looked at as far as the college ranks yet and who may be coming out next year and what that offensive line talent might look like. But it's just like Spence said, it's embarrassing. It's getting frustrating year after year after year. We're talking about the same thing: offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. And I'm ready to not talk about that anymore. What do you think, Casey?
I thought that Mitch Morse might have actually been gone this year because we could have gotten out of his contract. I thought there was a possibility that we would move Morse and have Bates step in and start being the center and immediately start Torrance and McGovern at guard. And I thought that was going to happen just because of cap space. And next year, I'll probably go into the offseason thinking the same thing just because it's cap space and he's getting older and we have somebody who is able, maybe, well, we don't know if he's able yet, but ready to try to step in and take that and be the next center in Ryan Bates, and if that's the case and we have McGovern set and Cyrus set at both guards, yeah, I mean, we really have one issue to worry about, like real bad issue to worry about, and that's just right tackle. Dion, I'm willing to give a little bit of wiggle room here because he is, like, to me, just your average tackle. I mean, he has his above average moments, but he, like Ronnie and Spence said, I mean, he gets beat sometimes, but all players get beat. So I'm just really worried about right tackle at this point. I think Spencer Brown would be the perfect backup swing tackle for a football team. I just don't know if he's a full-time starter in the NFL.
Yeah. Spin says, yeah, or I'm sorry, Spin says, yeah, let's just get rid of our best O-lineman for no reason. The reason is simple. This line is not cutting it, and they haven't cut it for years. And the constant of that line has been Mitch Morse and Dawkins, and it's still a problem every year. I would have no problem moving on and rebuilding this line going into next year. But let's move on. I kind of wanted to talk about the Chiefs for just a quick moment. We wanted to talk about it last week. We ran out of time. There's some things with Kansas City that I wasn't aware of, but we talked about this last year. Tyreek Hill gone. Can Patrick Mahomes get it done with a cast of wide receivers, that are maybe wide receiver 2 and 3s? He proved obviously he can. This year, they have a new OC, new receivers again, potentially 2 starting rookie linemen, offensive linemen. Do you think that there's a point maybe where the Chiefs can almost take Mahomes for granted and think, well, it's Mahomes, he'll cover up any deficiencies? And do you guys think the Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs still, or should maybe fans kind of look at them and think, well, maybe there'll be a little bit of a decline this year? Spence, you can go first. I'll let you go first this time.
I have no reason to feel like there's going to be any decline with the Kansas City Chiefs. As long as they have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback and Andy Reid as coach. There's to me, it doesn't matter who else shows up. I hate to say it that way, but the guy is just that good. Both of them, they're both just that good defensively. It doesn't matter if their defense is top 5 or bottom 5. They're still going to be in games every game. At the end of the game, they're going to win their division. They're probably going to win the conference, and I'm not concerned at all. Like if I was a Chiefs fan, I wouldn't be concerned at all if I was them.
But does that hurt them at all? Any little bit? Just having so many new players in?
No.
Not
No,
at all.
it may hurt like that first couple of weeks where it looks, and every year because now they do the same thing like the Patriots used to do, right? Like as a Bills fan, I
Yes,
used to
they
get
do.
excited in the beginning of the season when Tom Brady would come out and they would lay an egg. Like it would be the worst game,
Yeah.
like just worst game. It would be like, and they would be playing against a team that they should just like destroy, and they lose. It's like 20 to like last year when the Chiefs lost to the Texans, or they barely beat the Texans, I think, or something like that,
And lost to the Colts.
lost to the Colts. So like they'll have a game like that, and we get excited, and it's like, oh, and then all of a sudden, then Mahomes has an MVP season, and he's like throwing 55 touchdowns and 20,000 yards in a year, and it's. I don't think it hurts them one bit. Honestly, I think they just the first few weeks they're gonna have to kind of figure some things out, see how things go, and then they're gonna take off like they normally do.
I wish we could just do that.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Fix the old line, and we might be able to.
Yeah.
Going back to the offensive line, they're also without Chris Jones currently. Still, he hasn't signed a deal. And the Chiefs have shown in the past that they don't really care who you are. They're not going to pay you what they'll kick you to the curb like they did with Tyreek Hill. I do personally think that Chris Jones is probably a little more important to the team than what Tyreek Hill was because of Mahomes. Chris Jones is that defense, and without being able to generate that pass rush, the defense I think could be susceptible to getting beat. But to your point, they have the offense, have Mahomes, and they'll always keep up and stay in the games. But
and I think that's the way they look at it is with Mahomes, they can always score that extra touchdown. So why pay Chris Jones when they don't really need as much of a defense as some of these some other teams do? Was probably I'm not saying that that's exactly what they're thinking, but it could be. They're gonna probably try to play hardball for a while with him.
That's a really good point. I didn't really think about it like that. I mean, playing defense just with offense, just purely scoring more, focusing on that and allocating more money to the offensive side and not necessarily worrying so much about the defense. I never thought about it like that before.
They're not really allocating more money to the offensive side of the ball, though. None of the receivers are making a ton of money.
Right. They're just saving across the board, right?
Yeah, their running backs, they don't pay them anything. I'm not sure what the offensive line. I think those
they
guys
just paid one of their
pretty highly,
tackles like $20 million a year, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
So and maybe that's what we need to do. Stop paying the Ed Olivers of the world $10 million and put that on the offensive line.
Shouldn't have paid him anyway.
Oh, you just spike Spence's blood pressure like that donut.
Yeah, I know.
I like to see a tackle in the second round next year or something.
No, we don't hit on second and third rounder.
That's why I've been.
She's not wrong.
When was Torrance picked? I mean, I feel like
he was second round.
He was supposed to be a first rounder that we got in the second round.
Well, but he might be like the first. But he might be like the first second rounder that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Like, well, do a good job.
We did get James Cook in the second round as well.
We did. I'm excited about him too. But to this point, what has he done to make you say he's a for sure home run hitter? Like last year, he was part of
500 yards as a rookie between the tackles when nobody said he could run between the tackles.
Okay.
What?
Like I've seen rookie running backs. I'm just saying at this point now, the way guys come out of college, I've seen rookie running backs go for 1,000 yards. I've seen rookie wide receivers go for 1,200. So I'm just saying we haven't seen James Cook. I love him. This isn't a diss. What I'm saying is though we haven't seen anything yet that says like, oh, this second round pick was a knockout. Like this was a home run for sure. I think he will be, but right now he ain't did shit. He ain't nothing. I'm sorry. I don't want to. Get your show.
He hasn't done nothing. I got you.
Do you think a tackle is worth our first pick next year then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Depends on who's coming out.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what if we can't sign Gabe? What if we don't sign Gabe? Don't. then
I
is
say
it
don't and
then
package all of our picks together and go up to the first or second pick of the draft and
And get him,
grab
get him.
grab Marvin
You know,
Harrison.
There you
Get 'em.
yes, we're all on
Yeah.
board. We're all on
We're getting way
board.
Get
ahead of
'em.
ourselves
We're
here.
Go
all
get
on
'em.
agree
board.
on that.
Give
No, I know
anybody
it's not
anything they
Madden.
need.
Well, it's not Madden. That's not realistic. It's not going to happen. Because Brandon Bean tries to be too smart, and he's like, we got to do things to build for the man. You go get a Marvin Harrison Jr. to pair with a Stephon Diggs and Dalton Kincaid.
What
You just
do
said
you guys
Dawson
think?
Kincaid. We're gonna have
You,
to
Yeah.
yeah,
start
That's the
you know
calling
what
second-
I
him
meant.
That's
You
the
know what I
second time
meant.
you said
I'm
Dawson
hot and bothered.
Kincaid.
that.
So-
I'm hot and bothered. I'm sorry.
If Bean did do something like
it's
that,
something to me.
would Bill's Mafia like really riot? I mean, if he gave up, two, like this year's one, next year's one, next year's two, and the following year's two to get up to say pick 3 to get Harrison. Like, I think all 5 of us would be on board and freak out like little schoolgirls. But like, would people be that mad about
I don't know.
leveraging
People
the
were
future?
willing to give up 2 first rounds for to move up to make sure we got Bijan, and that was a
Yeah.
running back. So I
true.
think that there's going to be pissed off people. You're never going to make everybody happy. It's always going to be
No.
one thing or another. But
Well,
Stephon Diggs is getting older. We don't know if we're
Yeah.
going to be able to sign Gabe Davis, and you have this one person who is going to be the Justin Jeffersons of or the Devontae Adams. He's going to be one of those type of players, and I hate that Arizona might actually get him because it just absolutely sucks that Kyler Murray is going to have that type of receiver,
And
he doesn't deserve it.
And the thing is too, when
And
you
I
talk
agree,
about
sir.
yeah, and waste it
this
again.
isn't like, we know he's in college now. This isn't LeBron James coming out of high school, but this is Carmelo Anthony, like at Syracuse. So like like that's how good this receiver is. He's not like, no, we're not going to compare him to whoever your top 2 of all time. We're not going to put him there, but he's damn sure going to be in that top 8, top 10 conversation if he plays this way. Like, so when you have a quarterback like Josh, you go and get that guy. Like, what does it take to get that kind of guy to pair with my quarterback? That's the type of and I love Brandon Bean. We've all loved him now for the past half decade, and I think we give him his accolades, and I think we give him his flowers properly. But man, just for once, like, do you see what Philly's doing? They made it to
Buying
the Super Bowl
everybody.
and they didn't
Yeah.
win it, and they said, man, forget this. We're really going all in. Why are they trying to get Jonathan Taylor? You don't need Jonathan Taylor. You got 17 starting running backs on your roster.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Who here remembers the last time Buffalo gave up a couple of first round picks to move up and got a receiver?
I do.
I do.
But
Who
Sammy
did we
wasn't that
grab?
good. Sammy
I
Watkins
know.
wasn't as good as Harrison, man. No,
And I'm not saying Harrison is at that level, because I think Harrison's going to be a phenomenal receiver in this league. But I just remember when that happened, and the fan base for the most part was on board. I heard analysts saying he's the next Jerry Rice, he's this, he's that. Everybody's so excited, and he's been on about 23 out of 32 teams now since then. And yeah,
let me ask you this:
but
would you package together AJ Epinesa, Boogie Basham, and Khair Elam to move up and get Marvin Harrison Jr.?
yes,
No.
Dude, I'd give you my
Yeah,
left
say no.
pinky.
Yeah.
You say yes. The reason why I asked that, it's our last first rounder. It's a couple second rounders, and then you can swap next year's first rounder. So that's 2 first rounders, 2 second rounders. We haven't been hitting on our first and second round picks. When you have a guy, man, I'm just a guy right now where I'm like, look, we have a window with the talent that we have. You go and get a sure thing to
So you're
win.
going
Go
like
win.
best available take, not needs.
Man, it's Marvin
We
Harrison.
do
is
need
Marvin
wide
Harrison is in
receiver.
need.
True.
If he's there, he's
Yeah,
in
I
need.
mean,
True.
we need a wide receiver because again, we don't know if we're re-signing Gabe yet, and Steph is getting up there, in age, so we're not going to have him for forever.
But with the line
Prob-
issue, is it worth it if he doesn't even have time?
But we have no clue if if you have a an offensive tackle, do I say move up to top 5 to get him and have to, give away 3 other first rounders?
I'd feel a lot
No,
better
because
if we had a tackle.
no, because how many offensive tackles don't work in the NFL once they get out there? Everyone thinks that they're amazing, and then they go into the NFL and they look like crap.
Yeah.
No,
I make the trade. I go get him. I know the comments is yelling at me saying that I'm stupid and not to trade away our future outside of quarterback. I'm gonna tell you, you got the quarterback. So at this point, it's not worrying about trying to get a future with a quarterback. Now it's about the best future with your quarterback. You go and get the wide receiver that you know. You go and get that dude, man. You just go and do it.
Agreed.
All right.
Absolutely agree.
But we have Shakir. Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and jump into the 53-man roster conversation here with that one, since I knew we were going to kind of fly through this episode with the conversations. But I know, first of all, in case I'm going to give you the floor, because I know in my 53, I left somebody out that you don't agree, or maybe you do agree, but your heart says no. But it's your floor. Go for it. What you got?
How the hell can you keep Boogie Basham and not AJ Epinesa? I just, from what we've seen so far in both their careers, I mean, Epinesa has given us way more and has been way more consistent than Boogie. And I know they've both been dealing with, like, becoming pros, like dealing with, like, getting their body configured right. I mean, when Epinesa came in, they had him lose a whole bunch of weight, and then they had him put him back on, had him put some weight back on. And last year, he said it was the first year that he kind of felt like normal, comfortable back in his own skin, like he did in college. And he had his best year as a pro, getting 6.5 sacks, and I think it was like 35% of the snaps or something like that. I think that he's exactly what you're looking for in a defensive end 3 or 4. He can he fills in on both sides of the ball. We've seen him play a little bit on the interior when the Bills go with a funky defensive line look. I really like AJ Epinesa. I don't think he's shown everything he can do, and I think he has a higher ceiling than Boogie Basham. So that was my biggest gripe with your article, your 53-man article. That's all I got.
Sarah, what do you think? Boogie Basham or Epinesa?
Between those two, I actually have both of them making the team, unless we end up trading one of them until Von Miller comes back. I think that we'll keep the 4. We'll keep 5 on the line, and then when Von comes back, one of them is going to be gone. But hopefully, that's 3 or 4 games into the season where we can show off something, and we have a trade candidate.
Spence?
I say both of them.
I knew it.
So the 53-man that I put together for the defensive ends, I do have to keep him 5, which is Miller, Greg Rousseau, Floyd, Shaq Lawson, and Boogie Basham. For me, it's simple. Epinesa is what, 4 years in, 3 or 4 years in. Yeah,
This will be number 4.
He had his best season last year, but I think we've seen the ceiling for me personally. I don't think he's going to be much more than what he is now. With Boogie Basham, he's coming into year 3. Year 3 is typically when, if a player is going to break out, that's most of the time that's when it's going to happen. He has played well in practice. He's made some plays in the preseason games. I think that there's still a world where he might, maybe be that guy. I think he was a 3rd rounder, right?
Epinesa or Boogie?
No,
Boogie was a 3. No,
Yeah,
Boogie was a 2.
3rd.
He was a 2.
Second or 3rd.
He was
a 2
second because we did
Drew went first
right away. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where I stand with it. I think I've seen enough of Epinesa. It's the same thing we keep hearing about some of the other players on this roster. Like, one more year. Let's see how he develops this season. Let's see what happens with him in this game. And I'm just over it. Let's move on from him, plug in the next person, and see if he can do it.
Personally,
Shaq-
I feel like
See, I guess my point
defensive
is
line players anymore. Just go to free agency for defensive line players, because all the guys we sign are better than the guys we draft.
except
Agreed.
Rousseau.
Mm,
What are you thinking, Spence? What are you thinking?
I'm just saying, like, I love Greg Rousseau, and I think last year was his best year. Especially when Von was healthy. But again, same thing, same question that asked about Cook. Have we seen a season yet from Greg Rousseau that you're just like, yep, that's first round talent jumping off the screen right there? Like, we haven't. I don't even have. Is there a Greg Rousseau game?
Kansas
You know how
City.
like
The
Kansas City game
It
when he
would
got the
either be the
interception?
Miami game, say the Kansas City game where he got the interception, or his first game against Miami where he got like 2 sacks and like whatever it was, 10 plays or
Okay.
something.
Well,
But
I'll give you that then.
I get what
Because
you're
I was gonna
saying
say at
though.
least Ed Oliver has like he has like 2 Thanksgiving games. It's like, oh, he showed up big on Thanksgiving. But I just feel like
And
when you look
only
at
Thanksgiving.
on and
But
only
he
Thanksgiving.
And
But I mean,
Russo, he's in his second year. Oliver's been playing for 4 or 5 seasons now, and the same thing with Oliver. Let's wait till we see next season. Maybe he'll do better under
Is it
Can't
McDermott. It's
hear
the
wait
that
same
anymore?
anymore.
exact
We
thing.
already paid him.
I'm tired of
I
hearing
know.
this year. I said it in the chat earlier when we were
I
talking.
know.
I was like, every year, AJ Epinesa is going to have a breakout season, and I'm just tired of it. Like, he's been breaking out ever since he came into the league. When are you going to come out the closet, man? Just come on out. It's cool.
I do
Everybody's
think
out these days.
Espinosa is the one that once Vaughn comes back, I think that he'll be the odd man out. Shaq we can let go and then put on the practice squad because he's a veteran. As Epinesa has 4 years already.
I think
Three.
this
He's going.
this
He's
is
got
his
three.
I think he's
last
got
year.
4.
Yeah.
This is his
So
last year.
we really don't have that flexibility with anybody else. So that could be the other thing. But I definitely have Groot and Floyd out there, and then Vaughn, and then Boogie and AJ are gonna just be, and Shaq are gonna be kind of on the team until Vaughn comes back, and then one of them is
Yeah.
gonna be the odd man out.
And just for the record, because I'm seeing how people are accepting my Groot comments there. I'm not saying that I don't want Groot on his team or that he's a bad player. I'm saying I have not seen yet. Like, okay, yeah, he's a good player. He's not knock out the park first round talent where you're like, we got to. When you see teams draft certain guys, like last year, you remember? I'm just trying to think of a guy that you remember when you saw when the Vikings drafted Justin Jefferson, and then it was just like, man, why can't we draft a guy to come out his first year and be like, last year the Jets drafted 2 guys. 2.
Yeah.
Why can't we
They
draft
also
a guy
did it
in conversation for defensive rookie of
because
the year?
because they sucked enough to get them both in top 8 picks. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
That goes back to Brandon Bean saying, I don't ever want to suck enough to get it like back into the top 5. I mean, think about it. If Joe Burrow
Well, you
never
gotta trade
got
up.
hurt his rookie year, they don't get Jamar Chase. There's no way they stay top 5. And like the Bengals might not be at all what they're being, but I get what you're saying. But I mean, we can't force our way up there, force them to fall.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
there's other teams that we've seen be aggressive to do things, whether it's work short term and not long term, or however you want to look at it. We've seen teams be aggressive when they've had windows, and I just feel like at this current rate, I know last year we went out and we got Vaughn, but I just don't see us being aggressive. You look at what the Jets are doing, man. They went out. They are aggressive. They have a very good roster. They've done everything they did. Then they went out and then they signed Dalvin Cook. You look at what Miami's doing. Miami's trying to trade for Jonathan Taylor. For what? Again, they don't need him, but they're being aggressive because they're like, look, we got this window. Let's try to get it done. The Buffalo Bills are resting. I think Kincaid is a great pick, but we're resting on the fact that we just believe that now hopefully this is that first guy that we have where I'm like, we got a rookie of the year contender. Hopefully.
Did we not just talk about the Chiefs, and that's basically what they do with Mahomes? They figure we got Mahomes, so we don't need to be aggressive. We'll draft all these players, and they'll contribute. Hopefully, we have some rookies that contribute this year. But the Chiefs had 7 rookies in the Super Bowl kind of take is getting old because it's an anomaly that doesn't happen. But I'm not somebody who wants to look at the Rams. Yeah, they got the Super Bowl, but they've been crap since then. And their future is not very bright. They're talking about potentially trading away Cooper Cup. There's been rumors that teams have called him trying to get Matthew Stafford, or I'm sorry, them shopping Matthew Stafford. Is it to you worth mortgaging the future potentially for one Super Bowl now?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd say yeah.
Yes.
Get that
Is
ring,
everybody
baby.
Sarah?
saying yes?
I want one before I die. I feel like
I
at
think
this
it's a
point in
risky
time,
call.
I'm gonna get greedy. Once we have one, I'm gonna get greedy. I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna be satisfied.
Yeah.
I'm gonna want more, but
The
I just
one.
want that one. I want that
But
Give me
first
the
one.
one.
But if you have one of the best rosters in the league for 20 plus years, you're going to get one in that time frame, right? I would
Maybe.
rather have that hope of every
But you
single
don't know
year for
that.
the next 20
The
plus
Chargers,
years.
the Chargers, when they had Phillip Rivers, had one of the best, I mean, top to bottom, best rosters almost every single year. And I mean, offensively and defensively, they
I mean,
had
I was
the
gonna
great
say,
offense
players
remember,
through
on
the
offense.
90s.
remember when they were first in both offense and defense and missed the playoffs?
So you good, you good. But yeah, no, I'm just saying, like,
Oh.
so look, you can be that good because I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, man, has won Super Bowl for his
Yeah.
career. He goes to the Jets, and now New York is praising God and worshiping like they're gonna win 5 Super Bowls in a row now with this guy that's won one for his career. I just want one, man. I'll take it.
Well, isn't that the argument?
I'm with you.
Isn't that the argument with
I would
Allen,
love
though,
to
is
have
that
one
he's-
before I die. But I don't want to go through a 17-year drought again. That was miserable. There were times on Sunday afternoon when I was like, why do I do this to myself? Why am I watching this crap? For 17 years. I don't want that again.
I can go
But I
watch
think
hockey.
that
after
we
that.
always have Josh. It's not going to take that long to rebuild in between. It's, like if we go all in, then yes, we don't have the cap space. But then people are like, yo, they just won a Super Bowl. I want to play for them. I don't mind taking the vetman. That's what happened in New England for so long. They were getting people, these veterans coming in for a 1-year deal, playing on pennies. So I'm just hoping that we get that one and then we can figure it out afterwards.
Yeah. I want to jump back here really
Well,
quick
isn't
in the
that, like,
comments.
the biggest-
Carl, thank you for the super chat. He wants to know, name a player that Bean may flip for a draft pick. Sarah, I'll let you go first on that.
Yeah, I think we've already said it. Boogie or AJ are, probably the two on the top of, most people's list at this point. I don't think that there's a lot of other players on the roster that we can just move on from like that right now. I think those are probably the two that I would look at.
I
What
would
do you
say
think,
Khalil
Mike?
Shakir. Oh,
Yeah, I'd say
Shakir.
we were kind of getting to that earlier, and we like Epinesa and all that, but I'm really coming to the terms with like we might have to see him go in a trade and see what his value is on the market.
And as
Go ahead.
Shakir just hasn't shown enough, I think, for us to get something of value back. But if
That
we
makes
don't
me
think
sad.
that he's gonna or deserves this spot on the team, it depends on how they look at it, then yeah, try shopping him. I just don't think that we're gonna get any kind of return out of him.
I think we can get a 7th rounder for the guy. You
Well,
don't think
yeah, I
we can
mean, you can get a 7th round
You
for
pair him up or
pretty much
do
anyone.
something creative with it.
I don't know.
I don't.
But yeah, I agree with that take, Sarah. I don't think he's done enough, and I think when Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott like someone, they try to find ways to keep that person. And I think Andy Isabella really is somebody that they did like coming out of the draft, and I think there's somebody that they wish they could have, drafted themselves and just didn't have the opportunity to. And they're very impressed, and you have to pay attention to it. Like now we've had these guys for a few years now. You got to just pay attention to the way they talk about certain guys. Shout out to Roy in the comments. He said Shakir's been here 1 year. Give the guy a chance, and I agree with you. Typically, when you draft a guy, you want to give rookies a few years to develop. The problem with that is when you have a team, you have a roster that's deep, top to bottom, like the Buffalo Bills are, that's constantly in contention. You're a top 4, top 6 team in the league. there just aren't many roster spots. So a lot of times you have these vets, you have these guys that you just unfortunately have a roster that you just can't fit everybody. So if you bring in a guy that impresses, where are you going to cut it? Who's going to, are they going to keep 8 receivers? Sarah doesn't even think they're going to keep 7. So
No,
she's like 6. Oh, you
no,
said
I
6.
feel 7. I said there now
I
that I
said
know.
6.
Sorry.
Yeah, I said, yeah, I think it was Ron that said 6. I said
I
I'd
got
like
you.
to keep
Sorry.
7, but now that I have come to terms that technically Isabella we can cut if he's okay with saying, "Hey, we're going to cut you for a little bit, for a day. Let's put Shakir on IR so it's not season-ending IR. He can go on IR. I think he has like a rib injury or something right now anyways." And we put him on IR for 4 weeks and then figure that part out and bring Isabella back on. So there's an opportunity there. So we might only keep 6 and then put someone on IR and then bring him back. He's one of the veterans that we can do that to.
I like him.
Casey, what are your thoughts on flipping a player for a pick?
It would depend on, I mean, who it is. What are we realistically going to get for Epinesa? So we draft him in the second. I mean, is somebody really going to give us anything of worthwhile, anything higher than a 5th-round pick? I mean, we just saw Isaiah Simmons go for a 7th-round pick. So, I mean, personally, I mean, just because, I mean, I made my feelings clear on Epinesa, I think that those 6.5 sacks is worth a little bit more than the 7th-round pick, that 7th-round pick we would probably end up netting for him. It would have to be worth the while, like a 7th-round pick for Lee Smith. That was worth it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's whether or not you cut somebody else in order to keep him on on the roster. So it's kind of that discussion for everybody. So if you're not going to keep him on the roster, you're going to try to find a way to to offload him and get something in return.
Yeah.
I'll throw another
See,
name out there too,
I would be cutting Shaq up.
Well, you can cut Shaq and bring him back to the practice squad because he's a veteran. So that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
that
Shaq
would
to
be.
me is more.
That's been my thinking.
If I'm gonna say who I want in a game, I want Shaq over AJ, hands down. Period.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, agreed. I'm going to throw a name out there too, because there's a lot of comments here about Shakir. A lot of people supporting him, saying he's only been here a year, give him a chance. Kyer Elam, same situation, only been here a year, and it sounds like a lot of the Bills fans are ready to throw him out the door. What do you guys think about Kyer Elam? Is he somebody that you think has a future on this team? And if not, is there potential of maybe trading him and flipping him for a pick? As a first rounder this early in his career, you might actually get something more of value from in that kind of a deal. And I think that the Bills have some depth at the position and could afford to do that. What do you guys think about that possibility?
I mean, as far as the depth at the position, I feel like he's more towards the top, I want to say. And the same thing with Shakir. I'd like to see him, get more of the opportunity. He's new to the league. He's obviously learning still. But I do see him doing some things, and I like the physicality of his play, and that type of thing. If we're talking trading, I don't know if we could pair Epinesa and Shakir up. Would it be worth it to do 2 for 1 and get one player, and who would that be? But you'd have to find a team that needed that could use that sort of help.
Yeah.
I think
Casey,
Elam
what do you think?
deserves. I was gonna say I think Elam deserves a chance.
Yeah.
He came on strong like last 6 games of last season, and then I'm kind of surprised that they just didn't give him the starting role so that he was playing more reps through camp and through the off season with the first team consistently. I thought that maybe they tried to scare him a little bit into it, which I don't know if it's working. The only thing that bothers me with him is he's handsy and gets caught for it, so stop getting caught.
Casey, what do you think?
Speaking of that penalty, what I liked is you're talking about the penalty he got in the preseason game. I feel like he bounced back like the next play and and kind of drew the penalty too. So I like
Well,
him.
he's
I like
been
seeing him make
penalized a
that.
lot.
Yeah, make
He's
that
been
adjustment.
penalized a lot. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just not the one
Right.
penalty.
True.
He's the pass interference is getting a little out of hand with him. But he's been a man coverage guy, and I think he's been used to covering a certain way, and he's getting flagged for it in the NFL. So he's
Okay.
got to change that up a little bit. But
People just be talking in these comments sometimes.
Which one are
Yeah.
you referring to?
By Walter here saying Isabella's trajectory is closer to being out of the league than being a rosterable wide receiver. It's just not true. And like when you say stuff like this and like, and it's all love to Walter, obviously, but when you say stuff like this and like you're on a platform where there's several people that talk, a lot of times this is how things kind of get started, and this is how a conversation gets going that just isn't true. To say that his trajectory is closer to being out of the league, he was in a horrible situation in Arizona where his coach just shouldn't have been the coach. He shouldn't have been the offensive play caller. His quarterback was more interested in playing Call of Duty than studying for the games. His wide receiver was suspended for the first. His number one wide receiver was suspended for the first 6 games of the season for performance enhancement drugs. So I mean, it was just a horrible. The GM got suspended and then sat down for doing some bad thing. It was just a horrible situation, top to bottom, for the entire organization. Just wasn't good. So I don't know. People might view it that way by what they might hear from other people, from what they see. But I'm telling you what the truth is. Andy Isabella should make this roster. His skill set will fit what Josh Allen's skill set is, and it would be a match and a marriage made in heaven to pair also with Josh. And I'm serious. Like, to pair with Stephon Diggs, you add that speed.
Yeah.
And then you have Kincaid in the slot, and you have it would be beautiful. I'm telling
He
you.
looks good out there.
Isn't that what they brought
does.
Deontay Hardy in for, though? That exact role.
He did.
that
So you
speed
have
element?
similar roles. So that's where. But then you figure you got like 3 guys on the team right now that have the same skill set.
And to Walter's point here, and this is the one thing I'm kind of curious about, is the fact that he's been on a couple of. Why can't he stick on a roster? Why is it? And sometimes that happens, but what is it about him that he has not been able to stay on a roster? He's, I think, a second round pick. He has all the physical tools, but he can't stay on a roster. And I think there is something to that. Like, why not? Why can't he?
Well, we'll see.
Maybe he just didn't fit like the team's style of play. Like
It's possible.
I don't know. I
Ron,
kind of
there
see him
are-
fit into that Beasley role. We had Beasley around. Some short.
I just think it's
crossing and
unfair.
some yards.
Well, I just think it's unfair when we phrase it that way, where it's like he can't stick on a roster. Because again, I don't think that's the case. He's stuck on a roster in Arizona, but the roster was in shambles. So you can stick to something, but you stick to a sinking ship. It doesn't matter.
Wasn't
know what I
he
mean? Like,
on Baltimore? Didn't isn't that where he got cut from?
Baltimore, I believe they brought him in. If I'm not mistaken, he was brought in like it wasn't even like a real situation. He was brought in quick
but
and
then
was
they got
gone. It wasn't-
they got Odell, so obviously
right.
they weren't
So
going to
it
keep
wasn't.
him.
They're not going to keep him over Odell Beckham Jr. So it wasn't that he couldn't stick to a roster. The roster in Arizona was horrible. Just the whole situation. Then he goes to Baltimore. It just doesn't. It just okay. We
Right.
got OBJ. We don't need your piece. All right. It's not that he didn't stick to a roster. I just think it's a false narrative that we shouldn't push for a guy that's very close to making and I think he's a lot closer than what most of us obviously think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
There
he's
was
got.
2 comments. I was just want to say there was 2 comments quickly. The Spin had said Reed Ferguson would be a good candidate for the IR guys to cut and waiting in the parking lot. We do that to Reed every year. It'll happen again this year. That's why
Yeah,
they keep
every
his dead
single
cap
year.
at 0.
Every
They
single year.
they do it every year. So that'll definitely happen again this year. And then it was also Spin had put would Isaiah Simmons have been better than Dotson. On Twitter a lot today, people were going back and forth, very angry that we didn't even look at as Isaiah Simmons. Just to kind of put out there, he's not a Mike, even though he played middle linebacker. He's not. That was not his position, and he asked to no longer be a linebacker. He asked to be moved into the safety role. The Giants are probably going to put him back as linebacker, but people need to stop. They see linebacker, and then all of a sudden we made a mistake because we didn't grab him. It would have not been in the role. They have a 3-4 defense over in Arizona. It's completely different. his role would have been completely different. So we need to kind of get off the Isaiah Simmons boat, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you, Sarah.
I'm just going to add this one thing really quick. We're already we're past an hour, but when it comes to guys like Shakir, obviously I have a special place in my heart for him. I watched him here in Boise for his whole career. But like I told Casey earlier this week, since doing this content, as all of us do, being a content creator, writing for the team, doing these podcasts, I've realized that once a player comes to Buffalo, I suddenly was like, oh, they're the greatest player of all time. That's how I was as a fan. But I realized I've got to set that aside. And at the end of the day, whoever makes this team the best, that's who I want on the field. And if that's Isabella, by all means, cut Shakir and put Isabella on the roster. I don't think we go 7 receivers, partially because I think we're going to have a lot of 12 personnel. So I don't see a need for 7 receivers. But then again, who knows? But like I said, at the end of the day, best 11. I don't care what their name is, as long as they make this team the best team in the league and we get a Super Bowl.
I'm with you, but does that happen in Buffalo often? No, I'm serious.
I
feel like we cut guys, or we trade guys, or we get rid of guys sometimes that are better than the guy that we kept for their role, and it happens a lot. Whether that's because Joe and I talk about it on Hump Day often. His guy is Isaiah Hodgins, so he always talks about it. He's like, you cut Isaiah Hodgins, and we didn't even have a boundary receiver. Joe gets in, but it's the truth. Like a lot of times they'll keep certain guys that either Wyatt Teller, Spence says in the comments, there's guys that they'll get rid of who are way better than the guy that we're keeping them for. So, we're saying that I like Shakir. I like, really, there's only a couple guys that I like want traded, and it's not Shakir. It's not any of the guys that we talked about. So, really, I'll be happy with whatever group of receivers we put out this season. I think having Kincaid automatically just upgrades this offense. So I'm happy. I just really think that a lot of people, I don't know it all because I have season tickets and I actually got to watch the Arizona Cardinals in person. But when I tell you, he's a very impressive receiver. He's Andy is he's not a top 5 guy, no, but I mean, like, he's one of those guys that you have on your roster that he just does the little things that don't really get, like he'll make those catches on 3rd down, like 3rd and 4. He's that guy that makes those catches. And it's just, I'm telling you, you give a guy like that, you give a guy like Josh Allen, somebody like this, man. And I'm telling you, Bills fans will fall in love with. Y'all love Lil Dirty? He dropped every pass that came his way. He fumbled every time he did. You will fall in love with Andy Isabella. I'm just telling you. Yeah. I'm serious, man.
Now, between him and Hardy, is one suited? I feel like Hardy's better suited at the return role.
Yeah, I would say that.
Right.
I would say that.
But yeah. I'd love to see Isabella on this team.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll probably see a lot of him this weekend. But we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Everybody, thank you for the comments. Appreciate that. Hit the like, subscribe. As a reminder, too, we've got the big beer reveal party coming up September. What 16th. Is that date again?
16th.
September 16th.
September 16th.
Yep.
So all of the Buffalo Rumblings crew will be there. So come on out, meet us all.
I'm performing. Aren't you on the pod? And you don't even know like when your show is. What's up, man?
Man, okay.
Yeah, but you're going to be in town for quite a few days, so it doesn't matter what day it is. He's going to be there.
I'll be there Thursday before, and I think we're there through Monday, if I remember correctly. I don't know. Okay. Right. But I let my wife handle the logistics of everything, and I just follow along. But
Smart, man.
Smart, yeah.
Anyways, we're going to get out of here. We will. Next week we are moving to Fridays for at least a little while. I've got a stepson who plays football, so their games are on Thursdays. I don't know why it's Thursdays, but it is all season long. So gotta make those games. But anyways,
JP, right?
For the Mafia cast, for Casey, sorry, he kind of had to bounce, had some technical issues, but for him and everybody, we'll see you guys next week. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.